Hello and welcome to our Emotional Self-Awareness e-module. Today we're going to talk about what are emotions and where do they come from. We're all very good at saying that we understand emotions until we actually have to explain them. So emotions are both positive and negative. They are how we feel about either ourselves, others, or situations. Emotions play a key role in our own behaviour. If you have high levels of emotional self-awareness, you will have a very active internal dialogue where you are constantly processing and analysing your own emotions. So you don't only understand your emotions, but you expect them. This can further be useful when actually you can use your own emotional awareness to then identify and pick up on clues from those around you. You can use this therefore as a check-in to keep developing your own emotional self-awareness. So where there's maybe an emotionally charged situation at work, make sure you're not always the first to comment on what emotion you're sensing. Let others take the lead and then check in on your own evaluation. Is it the same as theirs? This will keep your emotional self-awareness in check and it will really help to develop and build relationships with those around you. But one word of warning, if you overuse this or it's not balanced with a positive self-regard, you may become oversensitive to the feelings of you and those around you, and you will then struggle to understand it into action. If your self-awareness is in the mid-range of emotional intelligence, you will still experience and understand your emotions, but this is perhaps on a cause and effect relationship. So many emotions may be fully relatable to you, but there will still be a few emotions that actually take you by surprise. So work out what these are and actually what triggered them. The next time perhaps you're in a meeting, ask others, how do you feel about this direction? Or what is your gut telling you about this decision to validate where you are? Identify the causes of these emotions in your colleagues and actually how the emotions impact their buy-in to decisions. This will help not only to show you or show them that you care, this is your empathy, but also to give you the information that you really need to predict how colleagues will react in the future. So it's building these emotional pathways. So although you do understand your emotions quite well, you can always work on refining your ability to actually adopt the right emotion at the right time. So people with strong emotional self-awareness are able to bring on emotions in themselves that actually will help with the task at hand. So for example, experimenting with techniques and mediums to maybe make yourself feel a wide range of emotions. It could be from happy to angry, maybe peaceful to sad, but putting yourself in perhaps a slightly somber mood can actually help focus on analytical tasks, for example, whereas being happy will help that brainstorming and more creative tasks. So there's something about the shift in your mood. If you're on the lower scale of emotional self-awareness, your experience of emotions may be very black and white. Either you're angry or you're not. As a result, you may not recognise the complexity of your emotions or their triggers. So to others, your emotions may seem heightened or exaggerated. You may either miss emotions and their triggers entirely, or you're marginally aware of their existence, making it hard to accurately predict your own emotional response and that of others. So if you don't fully understand your emotions, you will not understand the impact. And under times of stress, actually your mood may impact your performance and that of your teammates as well. Also, because emotional triggers and responses perhaps elude you, you may find yourself in quite uncomfortable professional encounters, perhaps where you have understood the tangible facts of the situation, but it could well be that you've overlooked somebody's emotional state. So maybe a little bit around emotional diagnosis. What you don't recognise, you can't actually manage. So let's start paying attention to one, how you're feeling. This may be the start out of a manual process of actually identifying what that emotion is and how it feels. And maybe record the strongest emotion you've experienced that day. What are the thoughts and actual physical sensations that accompanied it? Another thing is email. Actually sometimes reading your email is a really easy and non-obvious place to practice your emotional self-awareness. Emails normally elicit some type of emotion. It could be frustration, surprise, sometimes happiness. So over the next few days, perhaps record just in a couple of words what you feel. Actually it might be I feel discouraged and tired. after you read that noteworthy email. Next, to each emotion, write down one physical feeling or a change in your body you experience with the emotion. It might be, your posture, your sighing, but actually notice what sensations accompany the emotions. Research the emotions you experience most often. Find out if there are any other sensations you should be aware of. So how can I control my emotions and then enable them to work for me? When I work with my clients and we're discussing their emotional self-awareness, they quite rightly explain to me that actually the speed, the velocity of their reaction and feelings to a situation are so quick that they cannot actually change, and I completely agree. But what can we do about this? Well, we can reflect back on the experience and work out what happened and then slow down the process to enable us to really learn from it. So there's a model called the ABCDE model. It's a system for altering your perception, your attitude, and hopefully then your behaviour. So it was pioneered by the late Dr. Albert Ellis. He is the father of Rational Emotive Behaviour Therapy, REBT. A really favourite quote of mine by Ellis is, "People are not disturbed by things, but rather by their view of the things." So if we can change our view of the things, we can stop being disturbed by them. So how do we do this? Well, actually, let's look back to the ABCDE model that I mentioned before. So A is our activating event. So this is the event. So that might be the email that we were talking about that popped into your inbox. The C over here is the consequence. How did that email make you feel? Well, I was really, really angry. I felt the email was really, really rude. And actually, from reading it, the velocity to the consequence is really high. My clients are right, it's actually really hard to change that. There's no point in me going, well, just stop feeling angry, rude, etc. But what we can do is slow it all down. So if we slow it all down and work out in the middle, what was the belief? So the belief that I'm holding is that that person believes that their time is more valuable than mine. Therefore, do they believe, or do I believe, that they think they're more important than I am? And one of my values is equality, so that really grates on me. So I've understood the belief that I'm holding and why I had that reaction. So then your D is to dispute it. What evidence do I have that actually suggests that she does believe she's more important than me? There's an email, she could have sent it late at night, she could have sent it at different points, I'm not quite sure. But actually, I don't have any other evidence rather than my reaction. So this one here is a really positive one. This is exchange. So what can I change or exchange my belief for? And then you can start to see how by slowing it down, it kind of takes the angst out of that. All of a sudden I will exchange the belief that she thinks she's more important than me. I'll just exchange it for, she probably didn't understand her impact of her email. And then all of a sudden my response when I reply to that email isn't quite as angry as me believing that she thinks she's more important than me. So the ABCDE model is a really good one for you to reflect on when you've got a situation that you've not been happy with your reaction. You can slow it down and work out what is the belief that you're holding about that situation. So all the very best with your emotional self-awareness. It's always a work in progress. I think it can go up and down at all points as well. But the key is that focus, and the key is wanting to be aware and make the changes that are necessary.